Hey, welcome to another adventure in old code. Today we're going to take another look at my program, Adventures in Old Code, that I wrote this weekend because of two reasons. The first reason is because literally half of my subscribers have complained, called foul, that I did not go through the code. Yeah, that's true. I didn't really want to, but now I understand that this is Adventures in Old Code, and if we don't have old code, we can at least go through new code. Better than no code. So I will go back and we'll hit some of the highlights for in the Adventures in Old Code program that I wrote. And the other reason is because my initial thought was that I would be running the program prior to the beginning of every episode, but actually record me running the program because I thought it would be kind of a neat intro sequence. However, when I did that, it turns out it's not very interesting at all, and I'm just not going to put you guys through watching me run that program. So that's why we'll run through the program here for you guys. You can see what it does. You can see how kind of I did it. Yeah, hopefully that'll be good. And we can rectify my earlier mistake of not going through any code. All right, let's begin. So I wanted to do a few things with this program. I wanted to be able to type in the episode number and a flag, whether or not I can continue or not. So there are two modes. When feeding an episode number into this program, there are two modes. One is I'm starting a brand new episode. The other is I'm continuing a previous episode. And the difference is, if I'm starting a new episode, I will go and randomly choose one. If I'm continuing an episode, then I will look up to see which episode I was doing for the supplied episode number and generate the title screen accordingly. So this program takes in an episode number, and in the first case where it's a new episode, it randomly selects an episode. So I'll show you how I did this. As always, this is not necessarily great code. I don't think it's that bad, but if I was planning on putting this out into the world that people would be able to modify and run and extend, I would have written this, well, not in QBasic, but I maybe would have put some more thought into it. But I didn't. I just blew through it and didn't really care what it looked like. So here we go. Let's have a look. So this is my main routine. It's got a lot of functions and subroutines, and we'll get into a few of them. Always have to have my random number generator, and randomizing the timer and clearing the screen. All right. First thing is we supply a few parameters. So let's just run this. Let me exit out of here. I run it by supplying it a parameter. So I will give it a parameter of 40. Pretend I'm on episode 40. All right, so that says next episode will be in the Mind Dumb Arrays folder, line.bas. Do you accept? I'm going to say no. Do you want to remove it? No. You are required to intervene manually, ending program. I didn't account for all cases, so I'm not going to do anything complicated. Anyway, that's how you call it, AIOC, and then you give it a number. If I give it a small number of an episode that, already happened, it shouldn't probably say that. I'm not sure why it says that. Okay, so I have a bug in my program. Anyway, that's how I do it. AIOC and then give it a number. So that number is what gets read in here. Episode number. I'm getting that parameter. So the parameters come as a list delimited by spaces on the command line, and I'm just getting parameter number 1, and I'm getting it as an integer. The way I'm doing that is I'm getting it as a string first, and then I'm converting it to a number using the val function. How am I getting it as a string? Glad you asked. It's not very fun. Actually, no, that's the wrong one. Get parameter as string. Looks similar, but anyway, this basically loops through the entire command string. Command string here is a special variable that holds the entire list of things that you put onto that command line after the program name. So anything that comes after AIOC space, anything else gets shoved into the variable command string, and then I get to do stuff with it. So I basically loop through everything, making sure that I look for spaces or the end of the string, and I basically break out all the words, everything that's got a space in between, and then I do something with it. And so it's yeah, that's the overview of how that works. So we get the episode number, and if it was 0, then I say you must supply an episode number. If the second parameter was the word continue, then continue equals 1. Otherwise, continue equals 0. So continue is a flag that specifies whether I'm continuing the episode or not. And if continue is 0, then we're going to do a new episode. Otherwise, we're going to do a continued episode. So this is my file structure. Because I got some data storage here and I have to persist between runs of the program, I have created a series of files. They're all text files. Easiest way to go. So episodes text is going to hold the episode number followed by the name of the file which that episode came from, followed by the episode name. So you can see actually here, the next episode we're doing, 36, is backward. So these other files, let's go into DOM. Each of these other files corresponds to a directory that we're going to look through. So the arrays directory, which we created a long time ago, the DOM folder, games, laser game, math, miscellaneous, QBasic, and stock simulator. One of these will be randomly selected when a new episode is called for, and the next, well, let's go to DOM. So these are all in chronological order by modified date. Again, I don't trust those, but that's what we got. And so you can see that I put an asterisk beside backward because that is already done. Now, I filmed that episode yesterday, but I haven't made it public yet. So we're kind of swapping these episodes because I'm going to publish this one first. But anyway, this asterisk signifies that it's been done once. So when I come back to get a new episode from the dumb folder, it's going to skip over everything with an asterisk and find the first one without an asterisk. Now, if I continue an episode, so let us, first, before I do, there's a fly. It's in the middle of January. Why is there a fly? Before I do anything, I want to save the state of what I've got here. Okay, so now I can mess around with this and not worry about losing anything. So let's say I wanted to come and do, well, let's do another one. So AIOC 36. Now if I say 36, it's going to tell me 36 is already an episode. Sorry, you can't do that. But okay, let's do 37. And what I'm about to do is not actually going to be what episode 37 is about. Every time it's randomly generated, and this run is only for demonstration purposes. The next episode will be new nib. Do you accept it? I say yes. It generates the title screen for me, and then it conks out. So that's kind of, well, that's exactly what I want. Now, what if this new one, so let's actually take another glance at episodes. Now I have a 37, and that's tells me what episode I've done, and that was under, what was that, games? Yeah, games. How come I didn't see it? Okay. So new nib has an asterisk, so that's great. Now, yeah. Now, what if I wanted to continue this episode? It went into two parts. Okay, so now I'm going to go AIOC 37, and it says 37 is already an episode. But now I'm going to continue. And what this is going to do is it's going to put in the part 2 for me there. And if this went a third part, it's going to say part 3. And let's pretend it went a fourth part, and it's going to say part 4. And so when we open up the text file, you can see that now we have 4 asterisks beside the file name, and that just signifies that I have to keep track of what part I'm doing because I need to number that part in the title screen. Anyway, that's basically it. There's nothing much to it. Let's say for whatever reason I didn't want to do the next one. So we're on 38. Oh, Stock Simulator 2.0. Let's say for some reason this wasn't actually a real program, and I wanted to ignore it forever, for all time. So I'll say no. And the question is, do you want to remove it? And I'll say yes. And then it continues, it tries again. Do you want this episode? And, we can say yes. And episode 38 becomes I. And now if we go to the Stock Simulator text file, we've removed, we didn't actually see this file yet, but you can imagine that there was a Stock 2.0 at the beginning, but now it's been removed. So if I come across a program that, oh yes, I know that definitely isn't actually a program, I can remove it and we can carry on. All right, I will show you a few of the highlights about how I accomplished this feat. I guess what I should mention first is that a function is a subroutine that returns a value. So number of parts is a function. Basically, in this case, in this function, parts string is a string of asterisks, and I'm counting how many asterisks are in this string of asterisks. Say that fast many times. I'm going to loop from 1 to the length. If I'm going to take the mid string, looks at a particular string, chooses that index value, and chooses that many characters for that value. I actually go through this in the next episode. If it's an asterisk, so loop through each character in the string. If it's an asterisk, then add 1 to num parts. Go through the whole thing. And then this line, number of parts equals num parts. So num parts is going to be the number of asterisks in the string. Now, number of parts is the name of the function up here. And this is how QBasic does this. In more modern C-like languages, what we do is we'd say, at this point, return. Oops. Return num parts. Come on, I can't type today. And so this is much more familiar to me anyway. But QBasic didn't have a return statement. And so what it did is you assign a value to the function itself. So the name of the function becomes num parts. And where am I actually using this? I think it's here. Oh, that's an empty subroutine. Get next episode for continue. Hold on. Get next episode for continue. Let's delete it. Continue episode. Add part 2 episode. All this stuff. Here I go. Parts in episode equals number of parts, and I'm giving it a row of text basically. So this is actually returning a value. This is what I knew. I didn't know how to do this back in the day, but I know how to do it now. Okay, we are going to, now that I've thoroughly confused everyone, we've done this already. Okay, so basically, if we're doing a new episode, we call a new episode. Now this is, yeah, okay. We first check to see if it's valid. And an episode is valid for being new if, well, let's see, is valid for new. Oh, and I have all this stuff, nice. So an episode is valid, here we go. And this is the where everything branches out. I take the episode number and then I get the episode details. And getting the episode details is this function, and it opens up. Now I'm not going to go into how to read and save to text files here. That's going to be coming up on a later episode. But basically what this does is it opens up the episode's text file, and it reads all the data and returns the row that matches the episode number. So we're going to get like 30 episode number, comma, file, comma, a program name. Okay. So that was, oh, see, now I can't remember where I was. Let's just go new episode. Oh yeah, is valid for new. So that's what that does. Is valid for new gets the details, and if there was nothing by that episode name, episode number, then it's valid. I can do it. So if I've never done an episode of that number, then I'm all good. 1 means good, -1 means bad. My own creation. Okay, new episode. And then I have to, I'm going to put this in a giant loop that is just going to keep asking me until I accept an episode. So with choose a random file, choosing a random file is not too difficult. Yeah. I'm just picking a random number between 1 and 8, and whatever that number is, I assign file string and name string. Actually, name string is not used ever. That was a carryover from an old iteration. And then at the end, I'm returning that file. So that's all that's going on there. So I'm getting that random file, and then the episode inside is get next episode for new. Get next episode for new. Reads in all the data, and this basically looks through that file of program names and looks for the first one without an asterisk. It's using the number of parts function and checking to see if the number of parts for that episode is 0. If that is the case, then I found it, and that's what episode becomes. Okay, and then I'm just doing some printing. This is what your next episode. Do you accept? If you said yes, I accept this, then what we're going to do is we're going to add a part to the episode. We're going to add an asterisk to the episode, and we're going to save the episode details. So in the episodes.txt file. And then we're going to generate and show the title. And that's what I showed last time. A bunch of stuff. I might make new title screens in the future. Now otherwise, if I don't accept it, then ask if I want to remove it. And I have a subroutine called remove entry from file, which we don't need to get into. And yeah, if you don't want to remove it, but you don't accept it, then I don't know what the heck I want. And you have to start editing text files manually. Okay, so that's what happens. Otherwise, we're going to say, yeah, if it's not valid, so this is if it is valid, then do this. If it's not valid, say it's already an episode. You can't do that. Bye. All right. If we're continuing, then we're going to get the episode details. This is the fantastic thing about functions. You can reuse them. And that's, for very different contexts. As long as you're doing the same, small little operation, you can reuse it wherever you want. So I'm getting the episode details from the episode's text file. If details if it returns me no details, then it cannot find an episode to continue, and it stops. Otherwise, we get the column as string. So remember, this was episode number, file name, program name. So getting the column as string is a function I wrote that takes in the details and gives me the second thing in the list as a string, which is that file name. And the episode name is, the same thing, but just get me the third thing in that list. And then part number, we're going to add the part to the episode. Okay, same as we've seen before, but add part to episode. If there was 3 parts, add part to episode. It reads in everything, writes everything back, but adds 1 part if If this is the episode in question, we're going to add a part. Here's me adding the asterisk. And then what we do at the very end, we add part to we're actually returning the new number of parts for this episode. So it does something and returns the new value. So if there were 3 parts and we called this function, it would add a 4th part and then return the number 4. And that's why I go part number equals add part to episode. Part number is the new part. And then I generate and show the title. This time I'm giving it 1 and a part number. Now what does this 1 signify? Let's go to generate and show title 2. So generate and show title 2, it's a flag. Flag for continue. So if I'm continuing, you can see here, if continue equals 1, then I'm going to add an extra bit of text to the 3rd line of the title, which is the name in yellow. Okay, good. Here's a nice little function or subroutine I wrote, wait for seconds. Takes a starting time and loops until the number of elapsed seconds is greater than the number of seconds you want. So it's kind of nice. All right, continue episode. That's it. So that's it. That is the Adventures in Old Code program. So it's not terribly complicated. It's just busy, and it's a whole lot of stuff for not very much visual return. So anyway, hopefully that is sufficient. I don't want to spend any more time on this at all because this isn't old code. Okay, if you have any other questions, you can leave me a comment. If you have any other complaints, please let me know, and I will try and do my best. But for now, I think I'm going to call this one done, and we'll put it to rest. This is what I will be using to generate the titles and to choose the episodes. So no longer, I used to look into the directories and figure, well, I got this many minutes, maybe I should take something from the dumb folder. Or I got a bit longer, bit more time, I'll take a stock simulator or something like that. But it's getting too much. I got 8 different directories on the go here, and I don't want to make those decisions anymore. So we'll let the computer make the decisions for me, and I will just go on the adventure with you wherever it takes us. All right. Thank you for joining me in this adventure in old code. Have a nice day, and we'll see you next time.